Asda is one of the UK's big four supermarket chains, with over 600 stores across the country. Chances are, when you've been in an Asda store, you haven't stopped and wondered, is this Asda store historically significant? For most Asdas, the answer to that question would be, no, of course not. But if you were in the West Bridgford Asda superstore, approximately 2 miles from Nottingham city centre, then the answer would be an emphatic, yeah, it is actually. In the decades following World War II, Britain went through a period of massive economic growth, the post-war economic boom, also known as the Golden Age of Capitalism, a time of rising incomes and high employment. Prime Minister Harold Macmillan captured the mood of this time in a famous 1957 speech.
Let us be frank about it. Most of our people have never had it so good. Go round the country, go to the industrial towns, go to the farms, and you will see a state of prosperity such as we have never had in my lifetime, nor indeed in the history of this country.
This consistent increase in livelihoods led to a massive boom in both car ownership and shopping, because people had more money to spend than ever before. And in the 60s, this shopping boom led to a new American-style store being introduced to Britain, aimed at the rising number of car drivers in the country. In 1964, the UK's first out-of-town superstore opened, the Gem Superstore in West Bridgford. It made national news when it opened. It was a space-age shop heralding a great consumerist future. And it was a shop with no windows. This was really bizarre to the people of the 60s. Lavish shop window displays were the norm. It was how you attracted shoppers walking past. But a shop aimed at car drivers had no need for window displays, and a lack of windows meant more shelf space for stock.
On Saturday, yet another assault on the traditional shopping habits of the nation will be launched. Nothing quite like the Windowless store at West Bridgford has ever appeared on the British shopping scene before. Surrounding the austere and undecorative building are free parking spaces for 1,000 cars. Inside, beneath what is claimed to be the largest unbroken ceiling in the country, are almost 2 acres of merchandise laid out on a single floor. The strategy behind the big floor is simple. As city centres become more and more congested, motorists will be willing to drive 10 miles or more to an outlying supercentre where they can park without fuss and do all their shopping at one stop.
Approximately 30,000 people visited the store on its opening weekend, causing traffic jams for miles around. At the time it opened, people could still remember the rationing and austerity of the 40s and 50s. And now here was this massive warehouse full of all kinds of goods. It seemed to symbolise a brave new world of progress and consumer affluence.
I can remember Dad standing, looking, his face absolutely amazed, and he said, "I think we're going to have a good time here."
But after its initial hype, its popularity quickly faded. The Gem Superstore had a confusing internal system, which made it an irritating shopping experience. It wasn't a superstore as we know them today. It was a borderless shopping centre, where each department was a different shop, the floors colour-coded. Customers were supposed to pay for their items separately in each department, as though you were visiting a series of specialist shops, but with the walls and doors missing. Barely 2 years after opening, the Gem Superstore was taken over by Asda. Asda was formed on the 3rd of May 1965 in Yorkshire by the merger of Asquith Butchers and Associated Dairies. In 1958, brothers Peter and Fred Asquith had visited America, and were amazed by the superstores they saw. American supermarkets had grown rapidly in size and popularity during the Great Depression. Hard times made shoppers more price-conscious. Self-service, high turnover, and bulk purchasing cut overhead costs, and supermarkets could pass these savings on to consumers as lower prices. The Asquith brothers opened a few of their own supermarkets, but they wanted bigger, grander stores than their competitors. They wanted superstores. And so, they took over the failing West Bridgford Gem Superstore and made it into a huge success. They allowed customers to pay for everything at the same till, and they cut prices as low as possible. They also added some windows. Their price cutting was made possible by the abolition of resale price maintenance. RPM had meant that manufacturers could set minimum and maximum prices for retailers to sell their products at. It forced a lower bound on prices so larger shops couldn't undercut smaller traders. By the 60s, RPM was seen as a hindrance which made the economy less efficient.
From a national point of view, such price wars are very much to be desired. In a market economy, they are the only effective method for eliminating inefficient firms and for raising the average level of productivity in industry. Aggressive price competition among manufacturers by eliminating inefficient units and releasing labour would thus enhance our national wealth and increase our competitive power in world markets.
RPM was abolished in 1964, so retailers and manufacturers could now compete on price.
Begun.
A price war.
Has.
The success of the West Bridgford Asda encouraged other developers and retailers to imitate it.
It provided our customers with the opportunity to buy most of their household needs at very competitive prices. It really was part of a shopping revolution.
Out-of-town superstores and retail parks became increasingly common in the decades to come, and are tough competitors in the price war. Compared to city centre shops, they pay significantly lower rent, which means they also pay lower business rates. So they can push their prices lower than their city centre rivals.
The Victoria Retail Park at Netherfield is one of several shopping developments in and around the city. This area used to house the Great Northern Railway sheds. This was the site of the Colic sidings. Many a Royal train has parked here for the night. Now it's a huge shopping complex with none of the parking problems of the city centre. This shopping centre on Radford Boulevard is on the site of one of Players' factories. The only reminder of the past is the old Players' clock. The factory closed down when the main production moved to the new Horizon factory. Good parking, well-known trade names, keen prices, a well-populated area, ingredients for a successful shopping complex.
These shops aimed at car drivers changed Britain's shopping habits, pulling shoppers away from city centres. They are a factor in the 21st century decline of the British high street, as is the price war, which forced retailers to cut their prices and their profit margins as low as possible, and trained shoppers to always look out for the lowest price. The West Bridgford Asda is the ancestor of all the retail parks and superstores in the UK, and perhaps one day it'll be recognised as a historic England heritage site. Thanks for watching. If you have any memories of visiting the Superstore when it was new and revolutionary, please let me know in the comments. And if you'd like more Nottingham content, you should check out the We Share These Streets podcast on wherever you get your podcasts from.